Hi guys, I'm going to paint some very fun flowers on some wine glasses because it's the first day of spring, and who doesn't need flower glasses for the first day of spring? So I'm going to turn you down, boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to tell you the very first thing I always do with my glass is use just regular rubbing alcohol and just wipe them down. That gets get rid of any grease that might be on them. Of course, you want to start with them being clean too, but the rubbing alcohol is just another step to make sure they're in great shape. Hey, if you pop on, say hi. I did take a minute and I based my stem and my base, is that my base? With white. It was actually an accident I did on the first one, and it helped so much cover the black because black's really transparent with this particular paint. So I did it again real quick and just let it dry. So when I go to do the fun steps on it, it'll be ready to go. Why am I not popping up on here? Who knows? There we go. All right. So I'm going to start with some greens, and it really doesn't matter the brush you're going to use because you're just going to be dabbing it on. Okay. So I've got some darker green. I'm just going to dab a little bit on the base of the bottom of my glass. It doesn't have to cover completely. This is just going to be behind our flowers. I'm going to pick up a little of the lighter green. They mix on my brush. That's fine. You can see it's nothing fancy. Just dab, dab, dabbing. And since when I work with glass paint, it takes a while for it to dry, I also am going to go ahead and do a couple of stemless glasses. So again, I'm just picking up my paint, dab, dab, dabbing. This is going to be underneath my flowers. I think I'll go ahead and finish my dab, dab, dab on my bottom too, because this one isn't going to have the stripes on the bottom. And I just went into my lighter color. By working with more than one at a time, I can kind of let that paint almost set a little bit before I go on to do the next color, and so it doesn't pick up. So nothing fancy. Okay. I am going to set that upside down. So grab this one too. I'll have the sets done. You could be doing this with a pouncer brush. I'm doing this with a flat brush that's actually in decent shape. So I probably shouldn't be doing this, but hey, it's my party. I'll do what I want. What a gorgeous first day of spring in the lovely Chicagoland. I'm so excited to get outside and do some stuff, even if it's just picking up the yard that looks a little disarrayed. There, so I've kind of put some of this green down. I want you to see real quick, they don't even look alike. So it is not imperative that they are exact. I'm kind of a non-exact girl. So I'm going to rinse that color out of my brush, just because it's the two greens. And I'm going to go back to the first one I did, and I'm going to use, this is glass paint. You can mix the glass and the enamel paints just fine. I like the DecoArt brand, but there are other brands. You just want to make sure you're using an enamel paint or a multi-surface paint, and then follow their directions on how to make sure it stays painted and doesn't wash off for you. In this case, for DecoArt, when they're dry, and I let them dry completely, overnight, I'm going to put them in a cold oven. I'm going to turn the oven on to 325, set my timer for 30 minutes, and when my timer goes off, I'm going to turn the oven off and let them cool inside that oven. That gradual raise of the temperature and then gradual raise back down is what makes them so the paint stays on and is actually even dishwasher safe on the top shelf. Okay, so I've picked up this fuchsia color. You can do any color you want to. And I'm going to pick up, this happens to be a filbert brush, but you can use a flat. And I'm just going to make some swooshy circles. They don't have to be perfect circles. They can overlap. They might take more than one coat. That's okay. Some of them can come beyond. If they look too much like perfect circles, make them not. So this was actually a really fun class I got to take this week, and I did mine on Canvas, but could easily do it on the multimedia pad. And that's pretty fun flowers, and they're really, really simple. So they're not complicated, but it's the idea that when you get a little further away, it just looks great. All right, so I have added my pink flowers on this one. I'm gonna do a couple more. I'm gonna go ahead and add my pinks on this one. If you know someone else who might like to see some glass painting, by all means, we'll share the love, let them know that we do fun stuff like this over here on Cheers to Creativity. See, they're not perfect shapes. They're kind of blobby. This is going to be one of those projects that are going to have words like blob, swirl, smush. All right. Yeah. And do as many as you want. We can leave some of the green for some, what are those things called? Leaves. Or you can fill in as much as you want. As you can see, there's quite a few of them on there. I'm going to grab a little more paint because I kind of ran out. And I'm going to grab that last glass, and I'm going to do the same thing. They're just smushes. I will try to watch for some comments and see who's here with us. If I can do this the right way. Yeah. What are your plans for the first day of spring? Hopefully it's nice wherever you are too. And going around. So I like projects like this that are just kind of quick and fun and just kind of come together with little steps. All right, so that's my first layer of my flower. I'm going to put some white down too. And back to my stem glass, where I think I might need a little more coverage. I'm just coming in, adding a little bit. All right, with my dirty brush, I'm not wiping it off. Well, I could have. Took a little bit off of my paper towel. I'm going to pick up some white, and I'm just going to make a couple little swishes. Isn't that fun? That they don't have to be perfect. There's no side loading. There's nothing fancy pants about it. It's just kind of little swishes of some of the white in there. Just breaks up the color a little bit. There we go. Oh, there you guys are. See, I knew I'd find comments sooner or later. Oh, heading to grandson's soccer game. Oh, how fun. Our grandchildren are on a plane to Disney World. I'm so excited for them. This was a planned trip of theirs last spring break that obviously didn't happen because spring break didn't happen spring break happened, but then it stayed break. So again, I'm picking up a little of the pink. If I've still got some of that white in my brush, I don't care. I just am wanting to cover any spots that I might have missed the first time around. And as always, I will go back and read comments and answer any questions you might have. I don't always see them as they're happening. It's hard to paint and talk and watch for comments at the same time. Again, I'm just putting it down and just making a mess of it, just a little bit. Don't have to have the same amount in each one. If my brush gets too dirty, I could rinse it, but I probably would just wipe it on my paper towel. Okay, so there we got them on glass 2. Look at all the repeating you get to see me do because I've been working on 3 things. So here we go, a little white smush. Might need a little more pink on a couple of these, but that's okay. So give me a nice color to work with. we're going to make that 2. And you can change your mind as you're going. So flip it around, get a little white there. And like I said, my 2 glasses that should be a pair don't look exactly alike because they're hand painted. So no 2 ever look exactly alike for me. Now, I know I've got some type A's out there that everything has to be exact and the same. And this has to drive you crazy, but that's okay. I am going to rinse that brush out. I don't need it right now, but it's good not to leave that much paint in your brush. So set that aside. I'm going to take the dark green. And what I'm going to be doing is just, oh, actually, I'm going to do the purple first. See the little bit of wisteria? I don't know what it is. We're going to call it wisteria that I popped in there. It's just to give it a little different texture and color. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm picking up a purple. If you didn't have purple, you could mix a red and a blue and make a purple. Oops, I probably don't need that much paint either, but that's okay. And just to make sure that brush I was using is nice and dry. You want to use as little water in your paints when you're working with the enamel paints. Okay, so I'm going to, doesn't really matter which one I picked up. I'm going to tap it on my plate so it's a little less heavy, and I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. Don't worry if it's a little loose. We can come back and we'll add another little bit of color to them later. Oh boy, go all the way around. You decide how much you want. Could be a different color too. That'd be really pretty with yellow or with, if you could just do white too. But I want a little bit of the purple coming through. So I'll do a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and how about one about here? And sometimes you need to like take a second and look at your glass and go, does that look kind of sort of even? Again, it's hand painted, doesn't have to be perfection. So here's my little purple flowers peeking out. I just had so much fun with these flowers. Okay, so there's my purple on this guy. Now I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, which is I'm going to pick up some of the dark green and a smaller brush. I'm just going to pick up, this looks like about a 6 or an 8. Again, doesn't matter. I'm going to show you 2 ways you can do these leaves. You can, I'm picking up the dark green paint. You can just put the brush down and just kind of turn it and lift to give it a little bit of a point. Or you can just go in with a small round and just make like a half smile, and then just fill it in. Sometimes it helps to give a line first so these leaves can come off of, we'll call it a branch. If you paint over a flower, no big deal. That's perfectly okay. You make sure you add a couple leaves down, maybe where you've got some bare space. So I'm just kind of going with the fill-in method here. And I can make some of these go down this way. Now we're going to do more to the leaves, so I know they look like they're blending in a lot right now, and they are, but that's okay. And if some of your paint is wet and it blends with like a pink color, that's okay too. I promise you when these get done, you'll never notice that it wasn't exactly like you initially intended it to be. Boy, when you do the, do the stemless ones, there's quite a bit of surface to cover. Okay, so did that. I'm going to pull a couple more up this way, I think. I like the look of them coming out of the flowers as well. You choose what you like. So I'll turn that one upside down over here. I think I need to move some of my paints out of the way. I'm making quite a mess here today. All right, here's my other stemless one. I'm going to pull a couple of these stems to put my leaves on. And here I'm just setting them down and picking it up too. So you can fill in bigger leaves, and you can just set your brush down to create smaller leaves. I might have to come and add some more leaves on my stemless ones just so I can keep moving with you guys. And again, enamel paints are quite a bit more sheer than an acrylic paint. So I know I might need to come back and add a second coat, but you want to at least let it set up a little bit so you're not just picking up the color. Let's do a line here. And let's do one this way. Make sure you give them a little turn here and there so they're not just boring straight up and down leaves or stems. All right. What do you think? That looks like it's got enough to start with at least. I've really gotten my brush loaded with paint, so I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to set that glass down. I'm going to pick this one up, and I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Like I said, me doing a set and this last one gives you guys a chance to see me do it a lot. And it's good. You get to see me do it differently on each one. So you know. Ooh, look, I pulled pink, but that's okay. That's all right. We will be just fine. I might rinse it out, but I don't need to take it off. I just might come back and add some stronger green later. That's this. I've been painting a very long time, so when I get people who say, oh, you paint so fast, the more you paint, the faster you'll paint, really. But faster doesn't always mean better. It just means faster. And there are times fast serves me, and there's times that fast does not. But like I said, I've been painting for over 30 years. Oh my goodness. I sound so old when I say that, but that's okay. I'm wiser now. I hope. Fill in wherever you want to fill in your leaves or whatever you need, where you've got some blank spaces. All right, I've got a couple more blank spaces here. I might need to add some lovely leaves too. And again, it's okay to go right over something, a flower you've painted. I did come up here a little bit on those. All right, let's take a breath. We're going to go in with either a small round like this or a liner brush. And we're going to go in first with our light green color. And we're going to just add a little bit of that light green to the dark green that we already have. So I don't know which one I did first. Grab this one, we'll see. So I'm just picking out that light green, just got a little bit of my brush, and I literally am just setting it down and picking it up. They already have more interest, but just by adding this other color to them. And you can even make some leaves, full leaves with this color too, if you wanted to add a couple lighter leaves to your masterpiece. Sometimes they show up a lot, sometimes they blend in. Again, it's just giving it a little bit of a contrast here. So it isn't one-dimensional. All right, so did on that one. And if you miss one or two, there is no worries today. It's the first day of spring. We're just going to be happy. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm setting it down and just lifting it up. They aren't really a stroke. They're just a little bit of a dash on your green leaves. And you can add some lighter green if you want, lighter green leaves. I will tell you, when I'm painting wine glasses like this, and you see I've got my hand inside, I make sure after they're good and dry, like I said, I let mine dry overnight, that I get rid of my fingerprints before I bake. I don't know that they stay on, but I just think starting with a clean as possible surface is a good idea. Okay. And now we're on to our stemmed one. Okay. Again, just dabbing into my green, setting it down on my little leaves just to break up that color. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in doing this with the acrylics on canvas or maybe on a porch leaner. I think those flowers could be really pretty on a porch leaner. They don't have to be in a vase. As you can tell, these aren't in a vase. They became their own little vase. There is a tracer available for the ones that I did on the canvas. There you go. So there is our, we've got our light green in. Okay, I rinsed that out of my brush. And I am going to go into some white, and I'm going to make some squiggles, technical term, squiggles, in my flowers. Let me show you here. You see, I just went in and they almost look like, I liked what Heidi called them. She said it almost looks like little worms. But I'm just going to go in and add some white swishes, squiggles into my pink flowers. That's going to help them look like they've got a little bit more petals. I just put my brush in purple. That's not what I wanted to do. So with white, and you can either use a liner brush or this is just happens to be a smaller round. And I'm just going to kind of go in different directions. And oops, not so blobby. Maybe I should be using a liner. Just get some extra white here and there, and I'm giving a little bit of a shape. And some of mine, like that one that has a lot of white in it, I don't see it as much, but I know I'm going to be coming back in with black too. So this is just breaking it up a little more. You can define your outer edges a little more if you want. Boy, there's a lot of flowers on these stemless glosses. And it helps you decide which ones are on top and which ones are behind. Just squiggles. All right, so I've squiggled that one. Do you see those okay, guys? And I'll go ahead and squiggle some more. We'd love for you to like and follow our page. We'd love for you to like and follow or like our videos and let other people know when we're doing them. It really helps us reach more people so more people can see what we're doing. And hopefully find out what y'all are looking to do for spring. I know I'm ready for more flowers and lots of things to do for the outside. Just going around my flowers. Again, there are no special way to do this. I'm into my white. I'm trying to stay up on the tip of my brush a little bit so that keeps my lines a little thinner. When I do move over to my stem glass, because I used a liner brush on the first one, I'll probably switch over to a liner brush on that one too, just so they look a little more similar. Again, they don't have to look exact. They're hand painted. They'll be perfect for some sangria or something. All right, so I've gone around there. Like I said, I'm going to rinse my brush because I am going to switch over to just a little bit of a thinner liner brush when I do this one. Again, that's what they look like on my first one that I did. Okay, so I went to a little bit of a more of a thin liner brush into my white paint, and this should be able to give you just a little bit thinner lines. Yeah, a little bit. But again, I'm not outlining them exactly. I'm just giving them some squiggles within the shape of that flower. It'll break it up a little bit. Fun, 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 fun. Just squiggling. Squiggling. Just breaking that up. My goodness. I will say, doing it on my canvas or even in my mixed media, I only had like 10 flowers. I must have 20 or more in each one of these glasses. Whoops. Just going around, putting a couple squiggles. And this one, I'm almost done, guys, almost done. I think this is the last guy, yeah, for this one. All right, so we've got our white that kind of gives us some of our petals. I rinsed the white out of my brush, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. You're not going to need much of this at all. It is just for the little dots inside the flower. And that kind of helps give you a center in your flower. You can either use a dotting tool like a stylus, or I'm just going to pick up this on the tip of my round brush. Boom, boom, boom. And just a couple of dots. There's no perfect number, but it'll kind of give them some centers. You might just need one or two on some, might need more on others. All right, I'm going to switch to just finishing up with my one glass, because there are just tons of flowers in here. So you saw me do it on that guy. Let's go ahead and pick up our stemmed glass. And again, just a couple little center dots to define where you want your flowers to be looking. You could do this with black dots too. I just kind of like the idea of kind of like they're coming out of the stamen of the center of a flower. Even though these are certainly not any particular kind of flower, these are pretty much faux flowers. And the best thing about faux flowers is you can't really mess them up because they're not supposed to look anything like anything particular. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with that light green, and I'm going to do just a few little dots either next to my flowers, onto my leaves, just to kind of break in a little more of that green. And again, I'm just going to do this with the tip of my brush. A few down here. And also, again, this could be done with white very easily. I just kind of like to bring in the green. All right. I like to come back and pick up that purple I did, take most of it off, even dry it off on your paper towel, pick up a little bit of white, tap, tap, tap on your paper plate, and just lightly, here and there, touch into the purple that you did. It'll just give it, again, that other color, so a little bit more dimension. I don't know if I did that on this guy. This is the one that's finished. Yeah, I did. I can see a little bit of white. This one actually has more purple in it. All right, so next step is to take a liner brush, and this is really one that you're probably going to want to do the liner, and some black paint. Black paint. And really, really loosely go around your flowers and some of your leaves to just give them more definition. You can even add a couple little black lines within the flowers. There, I'm sorry. So I'm going to do that with my liner brush, trying to keep it up as much as possible, meaning keep my bristles of my brush up as much as possible. And they're not a complete outline. They are a sketchy outline. Like I said, I might want to come in and add a couple marks inside my flower as well. My glasses are not cooperating, so I think they're going to have to go off for now. And you can line your leaves. Those two don't have to be exactly on there, but you can create more of a shape for them. Going to go over the baking again. I let these dry overnight and make sure I take off as many fingerprints as I can get off. And because I'm holding so often on the inside, I want to make sure that my insides get cleaned up too. Try to stay away from your white paint if it's still wet. A couple little marks inside mine. Well, they might need just a little more definition. Any of you remember Mackenzie Childs? She was a really popular designer in the 80s and 90s. She still has some gorgeous things. But these glasses kind of reminded me of her style. Very whimsical. She does a lot with black and white as her accents. And I think when I did the stems of the first glass, it really reminded me of her. Oh, let's get some black lines in this guy. I need to outline some of these leaves just to give her a little more shape. Maybe these up here should be lined. Yeah. Yeah, so again, this is not perfect outlining, but it gives a much different look than if we don't outline them. See how different that looks? It helps. I think it really helps them pop and stand out a little bit. So, last thing I did on mine was to do something fun on the base. I will tell you, my stripes around my stem are not perfect. In fact, they are very wonky. I had to come back this morning and try to fix a couple of them, but they're still not great. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my glass upside down. I'm going to take a, oops, I left paint in that brush, not good. I'm going to take a larger flat and my black, and I want my base to be black, and it's going to take a couple coats. So I'm just going to see if I can do this like this. You do not have to do this. You do yours the way you want to do yours. I just smeared something on my glass, but I can fix that with a baby wipe or a Q-tip. I'm going to do right now, before I forget, see my little smear? Until I bake it, I can get it off. I'll take a little rubbing alcohol and get the rest of that off before I bake it. There you go. All right, so I've gone around once with my black. It's going to need to dry before I can give it a second coat. So when it came to doing my stripes, I tried to do it with a small flat brush. It really was not overly successful, but again, I think if you approach it more that you want it to be less perfect, maybe more diagonal, that might be a better route. I'm going to take this brush and just go around here. And there. So that's got my base. Then I just need to decide how wide I want my stripes to be. And I could take a smaller flat brush and try it again. I could try to do it diagonally. But since this one is white and black stripes, that's what I'm going to do on this guy too. And then I'm going to come back and add some dip dots on the base for it. I know this was really quick and really, well, just kind of messy, but they're really fun to do. So I hope you have a chance to go back and watch this again. Sorry, I put my glasses on so I could possibly see. And just have fun with it. Just, you know, like I said, the roses themselves are blobs. They're not even perfect circles. And by adding those white smooshes in there, that gives them some different colors. And then you come back and you add the white lines and the black lines, and they look more and more like flowers. The little purple things are just pounced on. Some of my leaves are very sheer. Some of them are more solid, but they're fun. And I think I'm going to enjoy a nice glass of wine this evening out of this one. Have a great day. Happy first day of spring. I hope to see you again very soon. So until I do though, please be safe, be kind, and cheers. Bye, guys.